Let's discuss controls and evaluations. Within PDM, we've been following a common model for marketing planning called the SOSTAC model. The SOSTAC model is one model for guiding how a specific marketing campaign or plan should run. But you could probably apply this to your career, sport, or other pursuits. In fact, in marketing, we get most of this model's topics from millennia of military history. First, we start with the situation analysis because we must know the environment. Think of this as learning what is in the world. Next, we identify our goals and objectives. Here, at a philosophical level, we're positing what we want to make of the world. We know what it is from the situation, but how do we want to reshape it? We want increased market share, increased loyalty, revenue, signups, customers, or something else that isn't currently true within the environment. To be somewhat grandiose, we're essentially starting the process of world building. Now that we know what we want to make of the world, we come up with a strategy for enacting it. This is our high-level answer that explains how we plan on replacing actual reality with the desired reality embodied within our objectives. But this how is still a bit abstracted. Imagine answering with, I'm going to increase our retained earnings by connecting a new product with target market A to solve their pain point. Sure, that may answer how we'll meet our objectives, but it's very abstract and lacking specific actionable items. This, however, is strategy, or the overall plan to achieve a goal. Then come the tactics. Tactics are methods or mechanisms for achieving an objective. In other words, the specific techniques we'll utilize. We're now addressing the how portion from a much less abstract viewpoint. How will you connect a new product to target market A? Through SEO? Through ads? Through whatever else? These are tactics, and they help execute the strategy. Because tactics are quite literally defined as a collection of actions to achieve a specific outcome, it's no surprise that after tactics come actions. These can range from our literal day-to-day actions like filming B-roll, scheduling interviews, and so on, to more campaign-centric actions like conducting keyword research to support the campaign, or identifying aligned influencers for earned media promotion. To define actions, we'd say they are the units of work undertaken. Control is where we are currently, but it doesn't imply the type of control you may be thinking of with strong-arming the process and making sure it happens. In fact, I say control and evaluations for a reason, because I want you to associate control with that word, evaluation, and not with power or influence. Marketing controls, or by extension when you hear of business controls, are measurements of performance. The evaluation of those measurements happens during goal setting and the development of strategy and tactics. Control isn't necessarily opinionated. This is why the SOSTAC model has these arrows pointing from control back to objectives, strategy, and tactics. Why not point to the situation? Well, in essence, the entire model is that, trying to change what is to what we want to be, so there's no need. And why not point to actions? We've already discussed in a previous topic that actions, when not properly aligned or thought out, can certainly be doing something, performing some unit of work, but simply doing something doesn't mean you'll accomplish anything in particular. The actions need to be dictated by tactics and strategy. So measurement is where this story heads next. What do we measure? You can measure website visits, email signups, YouTube video views, foot traffic coming into your store, or anything else that you want. These are metrics, and that word is derived from the Latin word metrum, or Greek word metron, both of which translate to measure. Metrics are things being measured. That's it, really, that's the extent of it. What we do, however, is elevate certain metrics within our campaigns to KPIs, or key performance indicators. These KPIs let us know at a much lower, granular, frontline level if we're on track to meet objectives. In other words, KPIs are what are tracked daily in the pursuit of our monthly, quarterly, or annual objectives, which in turn fulfill our goals. So we set goals to achieve something big, and objectives are designed to let us know we're on track to meet that goal. In a similar fashion, KPIs are the metrics selected because of their ability to indicate our progress towards an objective. Maybe it will help if, instead of visualizing by topic, I take a moment to visualize goals, objectives, and KPIs as they're more likely to appear within your business. Each goal has its own silo, and the goal contains its objectives, which are often unique from the objectives of other goals, but not always. Each objective has KPIs identified from the company's overall pool of metrics. These KPIs tell on a day-to-day basis whether we're on track to meet our objectives. And those objectives, if completed, should reasonably ensure the goal's success. Most KPIs tend to be scoped to campaigns, because that's our main organizational effort for achieving objectives. Of course, because of scope and organizational structure and whatnot, this can become more complex, and multiple campaigns can be nested under one higher level objective. Each campaign would then get its own appropriately scoped objective, and once all of these campaigns, alpha, beta, and gamma, have been successfully run, we could conclude the higher level objective should be met. KPIs, from a data analysis point of view, may even be more than just an identified metric. You'll often see in both marketing planning, which is the beginning of campaigns, and analysis, which is the ending review, that KPIs suggest both the metric and the level of performance required. For example, instead of saying unique website visits are your KPI, you might hear that 10,000 uniques per day is the KPI. This is correct and simply combines the metric selection and the setting of a desired threshold into one step. Again, it's common to hear KPI used in a way that identifies not just the metric, but the quantification of desired performance as well. Let's say that you had a goal for growing your business, and that growth was to be centered around partnerships and joint ventures. Your goal might be to be considered for corporate partnerships. Among the several objectives you identify that virtually guarantee that other companies are tossing your name around in their own corporate strategy sessions, you might have one that suggests you should publish research, white papers, and articles in leading industry journals. Great, now we know what to do. Academically, that is. We need to move beyond academic and put this into practice. First, we'd want to think about what metrics are reportable in relation to that objective. I'll visualize a few examples here, but I'm not being exhaustive. Then, we want to identify which of the available metrics will let us be reasonably sure we're likely to hit our goal. We promote these metrics to KPIs for this objective. And if you're wondering, did he just assign KPIs to an objective instead of a campaign? Yes. Yes, I did. Imagine if you're part of Marketing Team A, and you run a campaign to meet this objective, and Marketing Team B runs another. From an administrative point of view, if I'm your boss, I'm still tracking progress of the overall objective, and I leave the campaign details, including their objectives, to you unless something goes wrong. But I digress. We've elevated KPIs, and now we also want to identify their required performance for success. How about 3 executives should be publishing to show that research is a part of our corporate culture and not just a one-off? Maybe we want 10 citations and other articles to show that we're thought leaders and people are referencing our work. And how about a 2-to-1 ratio of publication in leading to mid-tier journals, so more in leading than in mid-tier, while avoiding bottom tier altogether? And because we want to show that we can translate ideas into marketing solutions, we might decide to add pickup in the mainstream press as a KPI. This is where the regular news or media would share our research with a larger non-industry audience. Are we correct in choosing these KPIs? Well, we'll evaluate that over time too. Just like we do with target selection, channel selection, and message delivery, even the controls get evaluated. But now we're at an actionable level. Let's say all of our KPIs are tracking well except one, that mainstream media pickup we just added. We can now target our efforts into making that happen by identifying specific strategies and tactics. For media, maybe we'd utilize public relations, media outreach, or deploying media influencers, or even an entire side campaign to entice our fans and customers to exhibit pressure and demand upon the media for stories about us or our research. If the question of why still looms large, I'll put it in plain and simple language. If you write an objective or create a KPI that just says, we need to increase website traffic, there's no threshold for success. Let's say the reality is that you'd need 10,000 new unique visitors per month to accomplish your objective. But we don't know that because we're not setting controls and we're not evaluating. As your marketing employee, I might bring you 1,000 new uniques each month and tell you how well I'm doing because I'm increasing your website traffic. And I might genuinely think I'm doing a good job. Together, we're clueless to the fact that 1,000 new uniques is only a small fraction of what's necessary. We have no gauge of perspective, and we incorrectly think we're doing well. You pat me on the back and maybe even give me a raise, but really, I've done nothing but perpetuate the cycle of ignorance and a reliance upon gut feel. Controls are in place to quantify the execution of the campaign, so that real-world actions and adjustments can be made towards achieving an outcome. That's much better than waking up at the end of a clueless quarter and being unexpectedly nowhere near achieving the objective due to a lack of what we call control. We'll end with this, a graphic that shows the high-level questions being answered for each stage of the SOSTAC model, along with some of the other marketing models that are useful for addressing each stage. Some of the models will look very familiar, others won't. That's why I'll translate and place the models and tools you've been learning here at Full Sail next to these information cards for your review as we conclude. So pause the video and take some time to look this over.